Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christina Martinez, County Liaison for the Colorado Department of Human Services. Thank you for joining us for our County Services webinar. We have some additional team members in the room, and I'm just going to let them introduce themselves and who they represent.
Good afternoon. It's Sharisa Hammer, and I'm the Audit Division Director for the department.
And I'm Kiki Powell, and I'm the Performance Management Director for the Department of Human Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jay Moraine. I'm the Director of the Office of Performance and Strategic Outcomes. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Dee Martinez had hoped to and planned on being here to launch our webinar this afternoon, but was at kind of the last minute called over to the Capitol to testify on some legislation. So we'll all be pinch hitting in Dee's absence. The webinar had a little bit of a bait and switch in it. So I'll just fess up right on top and say that there's more of an objective here in this webinar than just meeting the new team in CSTAT audits and county liaisons. This is going to be a much more interactive kind of webinar. What we really want to do is hear from you. We want to hear from you more. As you know, nearly a year ago, we began in a reorganization of the county services. And with that process in reorganizing, Dee and the others traveled the state and heard from county directors and county commissioners about what they wanted to see from county services. And there's 4 areas that were consistently heard. First, we heard that you all wanted us to be able to hear from you rather than us to force ourselves upon you. We also heard that you needed support with CSTAT. As you know, we rolled CSTAT out as a performance management approach over a year ago now, and many of the performance measures involve county departments. So we heard the need to support you with CSTAT. And finally, we heard that there was a need for audit support. And through the next hour, we'll talk about how we're trying to achieve each of those objectives, but more so we want to hear more specifically how we can be helping you. We'll move on to this next slide where we talk about the reorganization in more detail. So there's been 6 new staff positions identified through the reorganization under enterprise partnerships under the leadership of Dee Martinez. 2 county liaison positions have been created. One of those filled by Christina, who will talk more here shortly. Additionally, 4 new positions were established under performance and strategic outcomes. 2 of those are CSTAT or performance analysts under Ki'i's direction, and 2 new auditor positions have been created and filled under Sharisa's direction. I'll turn it over to Christina to talk about the county liaison roles.
So the primary role of the county liaisons is to help facilitate communication between counties and the department, as well as vice versa from the department to the counties, and to coordinate assistance to the counties from other state resources and employees, both internally and, if necessary, connecting with other sister state agencies. Another project that we're going to be working on is developing and maintaining a county portal. I've discussed this with several of you and sought feedback as to what you would like to see on there, what information would be beneficial, and we're really trying to create this one-stop electronic shop of resources for county directors. And we're going to be utilizing technology to create and deliver webinars. This really is to be focused on training opportunities and communicating updates. So we're looking to partner with various offices and divisions within CDHS to ensure that our county partners have the most up-to-date information so that they understand the various initiatives that are going on and that they can also provide feedback as to the efforts that CDHS is pursuing.
So again, we created the CSTAT approach to performance management in January of 2012. Since then, we have presented in various forums updates on CSTAT, and Key has heard from a number of you. Key, I'll turn it over to you to talk about what you've heard.
Sure. So I think if you, this might be out of order in terms of slide, but we can go to the next slide. And one of the things that, if you're on, okay.
Sounds like we're picking up somebody's on hold music, which is pleasant but probably doesn't fit in too well. So if that person who has that on hold, if there's any way to contact them, that would be great to have them mute that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just try to talk over this, and if there are any problems or you can't hear us, just let us know, so I'm sorry. But up on the screen, you should be able to see that there are various people that we have listed under each of the offices that the Department of Human Services has. So right now, currently, the Department of Human Services has 5 offices that are public-facing that actually provide services either through counties or through CCBs or directly to our citizens in Colorado. And right now, in my program, I have an analyst for each of those offices, starting with the Office of Behavioral Health, which is on the top left-hand portion of your screen. Mary Jinder is actually the analyst for the Office of Behavioral Health, and she's also serving in a new role, which is for the Office of Early Childhood, which we just recently created over the past few months. In addition, we have a person for the Office of Long-Term Care, which is Carrie Batchelder, and one for the Office of Economic Security, which is Jessica Fallon, and finally one for Office of Children, Youth, and Families, which is Alicia Montoya. In a number of instances, you may have seen some of these people out and about, either at SubPAC or various county meetings, because part of their role is to go and observe the activities that are going on for each of their offices and be able to report that back here into to myself and then through the department. And finally, on the bottom right-hand portion of the screen, you'll see that in regards to additional CSTAT staff that I have that are actually serving in more of a county capacity, the person I have is Eric Chalinskis, and we've actually hired him to begin developing county-by-county data reports that reflect all of our CSTAT measures, which is part of what we've heard from counties as a need. Christina, do you want to go to the next slide?
Or do we want to go back? Sorry.
So what we've heard from various counties, or I've heard, is I've actually gotten phone calls from various people in the county, and typically I get asked 3 questions, which include, can I get my performance on the CSTAT measure? Can you explain what this measure means? And can you teach me how to pull this data directly? Right now, I'm managing those questions through a number of ways, and we'll go to the next slide and talk about that. So what have we done to try to address some of these questions that we're getting with increasing frequency? Well, like I just mentioned, we hired Eric 2-3 months ago and are starting to build like a one-stop shop for county data, because right now when counties call me and say, can I get my data on this performance measure, I'm really sending them to the various county-facing divisions across our department, which are 6 different divisions. So I'm saying, contact this person for child welfare data, and contact this person for food assistance, and this person for Colorado Works. And one of the things we want to be able to do is just be a point of contact that you could call us and we could give you all of your data for all of the CSTAT measures that we have. The other question that we get is, can you explain the measures and what they mean? And typically we've done this in a variety of settings. Actually, we've hosted a webinar previously with counties to go through what the county CSTAT measures are and explain them. My staff, like I mentioned, go out to various meetings, including SubPAC, or for instance, like the FA Food Assistance PIP meeting, and are there to be able to explain alongside with program staff what those measures actually mean and any relevant information people would want to know. And then the last question of can you teach me how to pull this data directly is really, again, connecting counties with program staff to find out, for instance, with our Colorado Works data, how you could pull that in the Cognos report section of CDMS. So those are just ways in which counties have been contacting the CSTAT staff and asking for help, and how we've been addressing that. That's fine. So I believe I'm going to turn it over to Sharisa now, because she's going to kind of talk about, in a similar fashion, what she's heard and what audit staff are out there doing.
Thanks, Kee. When CSTAT got organized, obviously it was organized by office, and then when we were given 2 new audit staff as part of the reorg, we also looked at how we might better align with the department's efforts to develop expertise by office. So in that fashion, we have also aligned an audit staff in each office, and our audit staff are working really closely with the CSTAT and the budget staff to develop a deeper knowledge of the programs. And I think that's really going to be helpful for counties. Frequently we get called with a kind of a very program-specific question, and so having staff that really have drilled down into the programs and developed an expertise, I think, will help answer your questions that you have around program rules and allowability. Obviously, we'll be working with program staff on that as well, but I think the message that we want to convey is that we have a combined team with different skill sets that can really help you strategically solve county problems. So I think that Christina flipped back to the org chart, but just briefly, Meta Base is the auditor that's assigned to Office of Behavioral Health. Ryan Rivera is assigned to Office of Early Childhood. I know that he's been out in the counties and working with training on POS devices and answering child care related questions, so you probably have already had the opportunity to meet Ryan. Kathy Arthur is assigned to Office of Long-Term Care, and she too, I think, has been working really closely with our adult financial monitoring staff and going on some joint reviews with them. Adam Black is assigned to Office of Economic Security. Adam does a lot of work with continuous control monitoring, developing reports, providing expertise in the Office of Economic Security programs. He is also working with Tanya Williams. Tanya Williams is assigned to our domestic violence program in the Office of Economic Security.
Division of Location.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Folk Rehab. Thank you, Kee. Damon Drew is assigned to Office of Children, Youth, and Families, and will be working with our child welfare staff. And then in addition to that, we have Cheryl Wilmer, who is our CFMS expert, and so anytime you have coding questions or financial questions, Cheryl is a great resource for that. And then we also have a full-time fraud investigator, Colette Kreger. So if you do come across fraud in the counties, perhaps you need someone independent of the county to help you assess the situation, feel free to call Colette Krager as a resource. So that's how we are organized to develop that expertise by office. I think I guess what I would also like to talk a little bit about today is how the audit division can help you. We're working on kind of rebranding ourselves into kinder, friendlier folks at the state that can help you strategically solve problems. We get a lot of questions around the allowability of costs, and so I would encourage you to continue to contact us if you have any questions at all. Recently, I think the county reached out. They had an emergency repair that they needed to make. It was critical to keep the office open and running, and so the staff reached out and asked, is it allowable? How can we charge that? How can we pay for that? And we worked with the county to answer that question. We're also available to look at processes or internal controls if you've got questions around that. We love to come out in the county and visit you, so I guess I would like to encourage you to reach out and contact us, and we can come out and help. We frequently get contract questions. Recent case in point, I think we had a county reach out and ask about a lead contract and certain costs associated with a subcontract, and were those allowable, and so we worked to kind of strategically answer that question. And then one thing that Ki'i and I are working on, we get a lot of data requests, and so between the two of us, we will be working on figuring out how to meet those data requests. I think some of the reports that my staff generate may be just a little bit different than what Eric might be generating. However, I think we're all working on getting access to the same system. So hopefully between the two of us, we can provide you with some solid data that will help provide a clear picture of what might be going on in your county. So that's what we're all about, and call us.
So I wanted to come back to the organizational chart, but slightly expanded. We've heard from both Ki'i and Sharice in terms of how their staff have aligned with each of the offices within the department. But we also have our budget staff under Will Kugel's direction similarly aligned. So in the Office of Behavioral Health, we have budget analyst Glenn Iverson under Office of Early Childhood, and also Office of Children, Youth, and Families, we have David Porter. Under the Office of Long-Term Care, we have Sharon Truchon, and under the Office of Economic Security, Rick Wilson. We're in the process of hiring a couple more budget analysts who will be supporting some internal operations, both the Office of Administrative Solutions and overall departmental budget needs. But in terms of how we've aligned within or underneath the offices, the performance analyst or the CSTAT analyst, the auditor, and the budget analyst are working together as a triad supporting those offices, where previously we were somewhat stovepiped in each of the divisions of budget, CSTAT, and audit were operating independently. Now the staff are teaming up to help support the offices either through budget initiatives or deeper focus on areas where there's some performance struggles within an office or program falling underneath that office. So as both Ki'i and Sharice shared with you, you see some of their staff appearing in meetings. What you may see in the future is a team of staff attending those meetings, working collectively to help identify both performance barriers, quality assurance concerns, and resource needs, and then collectively try and identify solutions to help address where there's some gaps. So those are kind of the performance management or performance and strategic outcomes, future directions, a more cohesive team approach to helping support the offices to better solutions. So that's really our part of presenting on this. We really wanted to hear from you. That was our purpose in this webinar. We wanted you to share your thoughts with us. What is it from your perspective that we're doing right? How can we improve? What can we add in areas that you feel the county liaison functions, the audit functions, and the CSTAT functions may be lacking? And what can we do better to serve you and your county? So with that, I want to really open up the line for you all to either chime in. I think you can also send us through the webinar messages. You can type them in and we'll read them out loud and do our best to answer. Christina, do you see any questions or statements coming up?
Not yet.
So we're watching for statements. We're not seeing any yet. I don't know if we have delay in transmission or whether you all are contemplating what questions or comments or statements you'd like to add. If you've sent a comment to us and we're not receiving it, feel free to read it out, just say it out loud. It looks like we may have gotten one now.
So our first question is, how current are CSTAT data?
Well, I would say that answer really depends on the measure that you're speaking about. So that varies across each division and each measure. What I would refer you to is each quarter we release a quarterly report. And that is our only really public-facing way of displaying data on a regular basis. Although some of you may be getting some measures in SubPac, because I know certain divisions put that material together. But I would refer you to look at the bottom of the graph and note which month that you're at. In some instances, for our food assistance and Colorado Works programs, we're running, up until the very previous month. So we are in April right now, and whatever month comes before April, which happens to be March, is where what data we're looking at for them. And in other instances, with child welfare, for instance, when we're looking at our timeliness of assessment closure, because we allow 60 days to do that, we're looking at data that's farther back. So I hope that makes sense. But if you have specific questions about specific measures, you can either ask those now, and I'll do my best to answer that question, or you can follow up with me, which our contact information will be on the last slide.
We know, too, that some of the measures in child welfare come from the Administrative Review Division, and that can have as much as a full year's worth of lag just based on a particular measure where they're sampling from a county that they may only see once a year. So it really is one of those specific to measures type responses, and again, the best way to get that answered would be to either ask now if there's a specific concern or to contact Key afterwards. We will, before we end the webinar, share the contact information for each of us if you wanted to follow up, and hopefully will if you have further thoughts beyond those that you share with us this afternoon. Christina, did we get any other questions?
Yes, we have several additional questions. So we have a question related to when do we expect to have the one-stop available? So there's Key.
Yeah, that's a great question. We just hired Eric in January because we hired him like over Christmas. And so he's just begun working on those materials. I think we've completed most of our child welfare measures. So, what that means is that we've been able to get Eric access into the child welfare data system, that he's been able to use appropriate coding and vet that with the program to ensure that we're all on the same page about how we're pulling the measure, and that we've been able to pull it county by county and also build graphs that compare the county to their like-sized county. So if you are Denver, we can compare you to the 10 large, and if you are Delta, we could compare you to the small-sized counties.
And this would be over time.
Over time,
right.
Correct. So we have, we are in the midst of just finishing up child welfare, which is one of, as I mentioned, 6 county-facing divisions. We are then going to begin working with our CDMS data, which includes our adult financial, our food assistance in Colorado Works, and then that'll leave on the docket for us child support enforcement, LEAP, and our child care. And LEAP is one that's kind of lingering out there because it's only seasonal, so it's not one that we would see data every month all year round. It'll probably be the last one we tackle, honestly. So I anticipate that having had 3 months to work on child welfare, this is not going to be in short order, although we'd like it to be. So in the meantime, you can get your data from the programs, and if you don't know how to do that, just contact me, and I will connect you with the right people to get your county-by-county data. The one-stop shop, in my mind, is probably, I hate to say this, but probably a year out.
That said, I'd be interested in hearing from you all about whether maybe it's a half stop or quarter stop where we would begin to provide that county comparative data by program as the information is accessed and the reports are built. So if right now all we have is child welfare data, if that would be of interest to counties to just begin sharing that with you all now, it can certainly, I'm not sure that it has to be a complete process, but I'd be curious to hear from you all how you feel about that. Do we have other questions, Christina?
Yeah, so we had somebody who commented that this was a great start of discussing CSTAT, and if we have future trainings and additional sessions planned. And there was also the question if there were folks who could not participate today, if this would be available. And just so everybody knows, we are recording the entire webinar. We will be posting it onto YouTube, and we can get that link out. So if directors or staff or commissioners that were not available to participate who would like to listen in, we can do that.
And just to go back to answer the question, as I mentioned before, we have done a webinar in which we've covered all the county-facing CSTAT measures, and we're more than happy to do that again if that would be helpful to counties, just to go over what are the measures that are related to your business, and how do we measure those. But that's something we can definitely do.
We also got a question if both county liaisons have been hired and if they have been assigned to specific counties or areas of focus. So currently, I am the only county liaison on staff, but I know that the department continues their process to try to hire a second liaison. We will not have regions, so both of us will work with all 64 counties, and hopefully my counterpart will be brought on in the near future. And our next question is there some place where you can locate Dear Director letters, such as a letter referencing the Colorado Works auditing process?
I don't know. We have agency letters that are posted, if that's what the caller is asking about. Those are available by link on our main web page. I'd also be happy to follow up and email it if need be as well.
This is going to be one of the roles of the portal in the future that we're working to develop, as well as to have an electronic one-stop shop for items that are commonly referenced or needed to be referred to by directors. And again, this will be targeted at directors. And this is a prime example of a great resource that we could put on there, and we'll add additional information as we hear feedback from directors as to what they'd like to see available through the portal.
That's a great idea, putting the Dear Director letters out there.
Our next question is actually related to the Office of Early Childhood, and if we can provide a little more background about this office and what they do.
I'm sorry, I was reading Teresa's note.
The Office of Early Childhood, of who they are, what they do. It's a newly developed office within the Department of Human Services.
It is a new office. I wonder if it wouldn't be advantageous to have Marianne Snyder, their office director, actually present a webinar. I know that there is some travel that had occurred, at least had been planned to occur, where Marianne was introducing herself as the new office. So under that new office, we have the Child Care Assistance Program, Child Care Licensing, the Child Care Quality Initiatives, Early Intervention Services, which are services targeted towards infants and toddlers with developmental disabilities. That was a program that had previously been under the Division of Developmental Disabilities under the Office of Long-Term Care. Promoting Safe and Stable Families has moved under the Office of Early Child Care, and the ECCs, the Early Childhood Councils, thank you, are also being administered through that office. There's legislation moving through the state now that would bring over to the Office of Early Child Care some programs now in the office, or the Department of Public Health and Environment, thank you, including the Tony Gramscis funds and nursing family partnerships, as well as bringing the Early Childhood Leadership Council, and which is currently under the Lieutenant Governor's office, under that Office of Early Child Care. Childhood. Office of Early Childhood. Sorry, Childhood.
So this is definitely a topic that we can work with Marianne Snyder and her team to provide a webinar so that our directors can better understand who they are and what they do and how they'll be intersecting and collaborating with our local partners.
What I'll add, and it may be pertinent to our conversation here, is that the Child Care Assistance Program had been administered under Office of Children, Youth, and Families previously, and now being under the Office of Early Childhood, Marianne and her staff are taking another look at the CSTAT measures that they're focusing on. And in fact, yesterday afternoon there was a meeting to discuss potentially new and other relevant performance measures on which to focus. So that may be information that we'll be sharing at some future point, not in the too distant future, as decisions are made around those new performance measures.
And we're going to go back to CSTAT. We received several comments that it would be great if, as CSTAT data was available, if you could provide that to counties instead of waiting until it's 100%. And then the next question is, how does CSTAT compare to the idea of a dashboard that provides very concise data for each program area counties administer?
I think really they're somewhat similar. We really use the CSAT data to inform a management discussion around performance over time. So we watch for trends and focus on performance in tighter increments. In the CSAT meetings, we're looking at statewide data to begin with, and then finding the appropriate unit of analysis, whether that be counties or regions, to help better inform us on areas that are stronger and weaker in performance. We separately do have a dashboard that we're keeping of performance measures that we want to keep an eye on but don't necessarily feel the need to visit and explore deeply on a monthly basis. And we effectively use that dashboard as a mechanism for not losing sight of some of the moderately important to important areas that aren't currently the focus of executive director's office as we manage performance through the CSTAT meetings. Katie, do you want to add anything, or does that?
Well, I guess to me the CSTAT is a process. It's not just a report or a bunch of measures. And I don't know if a dashboard is just a dashboard. That would be fundamentally different than CSTAT, because CSTAT is really a management strategy. And I would say the more critical part of CSTAT is not the slide deck, but it's the monthly meetings that we have with the offices in which we're having our management discussion. It's focused on our outcomes and our data, but the conversation really also focuses on how we're going to move that needle and what the programs are going to do to improve their performance. And I think that's really the critical part of our CSTAT process.
So, Christina, do we not see more questions there?
No, we haven't received any other questions. Oh, here we go. One of the most measured programs the state has is child support enforcement, but the monthly measurement report, MMR, is now 31 pages long. How do you expect small-sized counties to synthesize this amount of data for each program?
What I would say is that at least through CSTAT, we're not focusing on 31 pages of data measures. We're focusing on a small handful of performance measures that in many instances relate directly to those which drive the federal and state incentive distribution. So if you're looking for areas of focus, at least from our department, you may want to go out to our website and look at use the CSTAT window to look at our quarterly reports, and you'll find the child support enforcement measures that we're currently focused on. They're probably teased out with or appear somewhere within those 31 pages, but it's certainly not all 31 pages that we're looking at through the CSTAT lens. And so this, again, will be something through the one-stop shop that we would anticipate incorporating into the report that Eric is working on now. We hear the interest, at least heard the interest earlier to get the child welfare data out first, since we already have it, but we have child support enforcement on deck, and as soon as we've been able to build that into the monthly county-by-county reports, we'll certainly do so.
Do we have any other feedback on what we can improve or what we can add?
But let me just add something that may not be specifically relevant to the topics we have on the table today, but just to let you know of efforts underway to look at some quality assurance reviews that are taking place across the counties by various state staff, and work that Tony Miles, who heads up our Food Assistance Quality Assurance Division, is heading as an outgrowth of an assignment made through Economic Security Subpac to really begin exploring ways how we can make that process work better, both at the county level and at the state level. We have representatives from counties who are participating in that work group, and it may be a topic for a future webinar as they wrap up their work in a couple months. So maybe that's just queuing up something for early to mid-summer to present back to you the results of the work that they do and the recommendations that they would be bringing forward. Separately, another, and this is way off topic other than within the concept of a webinar. Last week, there was 1.5 days worth of Grueling Child Welfare Allocations Committee work that took place where the state presented a proposed new model for the allocation of child welfare funds. And there was a lot of information shared in or through the course of those 12 hours of meetings, and some requests from counties to provide that information through a webinar. So we'll be working on a webinar to further delve into the child welfare allocation and what the state recommended. And we'll try to have something out in the next few weeks on that. So you may want to be watching for some announcement of that webinar as we get closer to having something ready to release.
So we have a few additional comments and questions related to CSTAT. One is highlighting the large amount of data that counties are receiving. And the question is related to assistance in the analysis and incorporating the analysis into business practice change. Is CSTAT going to provide this level of management assistance?
And that's a really good question, one that I think we're grappling with internally, because the reality is that the CSTAT staff help run the CSTAT program, and the program staff, so for instance, Colorado Works is running Colorado Works. And one of the things I think we're trying to determine is really who has ownership over that kind of, not ownership is not the right word, but who would be the best expert to refer to when you have questions about what are the best practices to moving the needle. I think in some instances the CSTAT staff, including myself, who are attending the CSTAT meetings regularly, have some of that information. And in other instances, the programs who really live it on a day-to-day basis may have a more in-depth understanding of what it really takes to move the needle, including business process reengineering. So I would say it's probably a collaborative effort, and one that, if you have any questions, again, just feel free to contact me. And if it's something that's kind of outside of our realm, then we'll put you in touch with the programs and we'll figure that out.
Wait, can I add in one? Key and I met with representatives of programs last week to really delve into that, and specifically to those programs that are administered through the county departments, just to kind of explore how we would collaborate and who would have responsibilities for providing information to the counties. And I think there really was some interest in collaborating on that, but we didn't resolve everything within an hour's time as we were talking about that. Some of what we have talked about is that the CSTAT staff would be able to assist in the helping you in getting to the proper level of analysis, so possibly at a unit level or worker level or supervisory level with respect to specific CSTAT measures. But in terms of strategies, that would be the program's responsibility for sharing those, so that there's some consistent message going from programs to each of the counties.
And I think that leads into our next question, which is, who is CSTAT intended to work with county directors, or is it also for supervisors and division directors?
Right, and I think that really relates to, like, what is the question that you're asking, and therefore we have to figure out, based on that question, what's the appropriate role to connect you to. So if it's about the CSTAT measures or the CSTAT process, I think that's something that we can clearly own, or even, the data itself. But if it's specific to the program, and I think to varying degrees, maybe a supervisor in Colorado Works may have some very specific programmatic questions, and therefore would be contacting, Levetta or Levetta staff, whereas if a county commissioner wanted to just understand, how their county was doing in comparison to other like-sized counties on this measure, I think you could contact CSTEC or the program, because we would both have that type of information.
The other question that we received was, Jay, if you know when the next CWAC meeting will be held, the exact dates in May?
If I were to say it, I'd probably miss it by a week. I think it's something like May 11th, but I'm not sure that I really got it on my calendar correctly. So maybe if we could go to another question, I'll see if I can find validation.
Are there any other questions at this point? I know that we've been getting some comments about the feedback and difficulty hearing, and so that's something that we'll work internally to see if there's different settings that we can adjust for future webinars, and I apologize if you weren't able to hear, but again, hopefully this will be, the audio quality will be better on the YouTube video if you want to go back and listen to some of the responses that were provided by the staff. And please feel free to contact us if you have any additional questions. Feedback is always greatly appreciated, how we can improve these type of services to make sure that you have what you need.
And I am not finding on my calendar the date for the next CWAC meeting, so we'll try finding out when that is and be sure and get that information shared.
I can tell you when it is.
Oh, great. When is it?
Denver. It is May the 17th.
May 17th. Thank you. I'm going to put that on my calendar right now.
And we received a request to send out the PowerPoint. I know that I did send it out prior to the webinar beginning in Adobe to those who had pre-registered, but I can definitely send it out once again to everyone who participated, along with the link to the YouTube video.
Do we have any other questions there, Christina?
I have one. This is June again. I didn't do the pre-registration, so how can I ensure that I get the PowerPoint?
So,
should I pre-register still even now?
No, we will have a record of everybody that attended, and along with their email addresses.
Okay.
So if you don't, I guess, hear from me in the next couple of days, just give me a holler. This is Christina, and I'll get you what you need.
Thank you.
If we have no further questions, what we're looking at now and what you'll be able to pick up on the PowerPoint if you don't want to write all this information down is the contact information for each of us who presented this afternoon, along with Dee, who couldn't be here once again and sends her regrets. So please feel free to follow up with any of us if you have further questions or comments. And we particularly want to hear from you about how we can be of service to you given the reorganization of county services. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll look forward to talking to you shortly.
Thank you.